Morning, everyone. This is my watch list for Thursday, August 20th. All right, what happened yesterday? We spoke about this pre-market. Brett and I, right? We said gap fill, 772, 772.5, reject, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I took it on my own. I didn't signal. I did take this short here at 772. It was later in the day. I didn't signal that, but I did take it myself. However, I did signal this off the open, all right? And let me just go down to the 1 minute chart so you guys can see exactly what I did. All right, because it wasn't the longest trade in the world, but I made 40% on this, okay, because it just dumped fast, okay? So basically, we opened weak, right? Popped into 77.5, and then as soon as we got back under the previous day high, which was 769.5, I got short, right? So I was short right here. I didn't even wait for this candle to close. I didn't wait for a 5 minute candle to close. I didn't wait for a 1 minute candle to close. As soon as this candle on the 5 minute I was watching, as soon as that got back below the yesterday's high, 769.50, I was short with the stop just over 770. So I was risking 50 cents. I got short here, and immediately we sold from 769.50 all the way down to 768. So it was $1.50 move on 1 DTEs. We caught 40%. That was beautiful. All right. Second best trade of the day was that short. Okay, we talked about, Brett and I both said 772 failure, right? It happened pre-market, okay? And we got the big failure pre-market. However, it also happened intraday, and you guys see 772 was created as the supply the entire rest of the session, okay? So really, really nice action on SPY yesterday. Not as choppy as Tuesday. Tuesday was crazy chop. Yesterday, much better. We caught some nice trades. I caught the short for 40%. And then as soon as we reclaimed the previous day high right here at 1025, Brett went long. And then he got the long into that supply. And then I mentioned on live, SPY is weak. This is a short as long as we get back below the pre-market high. And it was, and this wound up selling again, okay? So just beautiful action yesterday, honestly, on SPY, okay? Really, really easy, straightforward action. Now, today, we're gapping down a little bit, barely, okay? It's like flat, okay? But 767.50, let's zoom out to the arrow, you guys will see. This was the low from back here, that Thursday, August 6th. It was the lows from Tuesday as well, all right, where the market just simply could not sell. This was 767.50. I don't really care about this after hour. There's no volume here, right? So 767.50, if we get below that, I like shorts again on SPY. So I will be watching SPY again. I will trade SPY again if we get below the 767.50, watching that for shorts, okay? QQQ. Now, you could have also taken this trade. I mentioned this on pre-market with Brett as well, the 716 level. I missed this myself. I completely was not watching, and this broke down, right? We broke down 716, and this was like literally a textbook break and retest. 716 retest, and then we sold all the way back down to 712.7, 712.6, right? So that was also a nice $3 plus move that you could have taken on the Qs. And the Qs are gapping back below that level. So this is a short as long as we're below 716 for me, okay? Just so you guys know, my bear bias is 716, bull bear bias. If we reclaim 716, potentially it's a long, but I am bear bias as long as we're under 716. All right, same goes with SPY. As long as we break lows, 767.50, we can short. If we reclaim this 772.5, you guys can switch back to a bull bias, okay? Now let's look at some individuals. Apple ripped. Brett mentioned this over 311 yesterday. Just simply a previous day high break, and it ripped. I mean, you just had to get in on this dip at 940, this dip candle right here, and then it just ripped. And remember on live, I said 319, 320 supply. Look at that. We got straight to 319 and then failed all the way back down to 314. So that was another $5 move you could have taken on Apple, all right? Now, watching Apple again today, do we fail the 319 or do we reclaim? All right, if we reclaim 320, then this can squeeze and actually fill all the way back up here into like 328, 330, all right? So let's see how it opens. Is it strong or is it weak off the open? If we fail back below 314, then I think this sells, right? This was that hourly supply over here. This was the intraday pivot from yesterday. So if we get back below 314, this, in my opinion, is going to sell off today. AMD, All right, finally we're getting to my level. Remember I mentioned this 460 about 4,000 times, right? This is the lows from here, lows from here, lows from here. We're back at 460, all right? It looks like we're actually going to break. Chips are so weak, right? AMD, Nvidia, weak. INTC, weak. All chips, ASML, everything is weak on chip side and memories, okay? So if we lose 460, I like this short. It has room all the way back down to 420, right? Potential $40 move on AMD if we lose 460. I'll be watching this today. Amazon. You guys remember I also mentioned this yesterday on the live, on the pre-market live. I said 262. If we reclaim 262, because we held that demand at 258, that's the only reason why, right? We held the demand at 258. If we reclaim 262, it's going back to 265 to 266, and that's exactly where we went, right? This was another trade that you could have taken yesterday, all right? And I posted this on my story. You don't always have to rely on us for signals, right? We're going to signal, and if there's like a lot of signals already on the session, we're just going to stop signaling, right? Because we don't want to run into the risk of people over trading, right? Simply that's it, right? If we already signaled, like if I already signaled a 40% trade on SPY and Brett already signaled a 40% trade on SPY, then at that point we will likely start to stop signaling, okay? But that doesn't mean you still can't take these trades, especially if you have cushion, right? If you have cushion, take these trades, just take them on lighter size if you want, all right? But this was just beautiful. The 262 reclaim ripped, 266, right? What can we watch today? We can watch for pullback longs into 262, all right? Or if we reclaim 267, then this could also, this has upside room back into 270, all right? So let's see what happens on that Amazon today. Google, I really don't have much here. I think Rav was watching this. But below 340, I like short. Above 346 looks like a long to me. Meta is at this very pivotal 540. I mentioned this yesterday on live on the pre-market webinar, right? When Brett said he didn't know what I was talking about when I said inverse head and shoulder, it's right here, okay? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? Very simple. This is an inverse head and shoulder. If 540 holds and Meta starts reclaiming levels, then it's going to see a lot of upside, right? Then we can go back to 580, 600, okay? If 540 doesn't hold, the inverse head and shoulder is invalidated. It's very clear here on the daily as well. If 540 doesn't hold, it's invalidated. We can sell all the way back down to 520, okay? So that, watch this for either reclaims, okay? If you're a bull on Meta, if you like that inverse head and shoulder, look for reclaims. Yesterday's highs, 554, 555 even, which was that pivot from Tuesday. If we get back over 555, long. This is a long on Meta. If we lose 540, inverse head and shoulder is invalidated and this sells to 520, okay? All right. Microsoft, I don't have anything on this. Netflix ripped, right? We've mentioned this many times. As long as we hold levels, this is a long, it's back over 80. You know, there's not a lot of value up here anymore. But yeah, this is, you guys see, this has clearly been a bullish chart ever since that earnings report in July. So we've taken a lot of upside trades on this. No one has been trying to short this. This has just been all longs. PLTR I like a lot. All right, PLTR, I don't think we're going to get that dip into 164. We've been talking about it. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's too strong, okay? So I think, so 180 is the obvious level, right? 180 is the obvious level. I think we can take an entry right here, though. 176. This was the high from Monday. This is the highs from yesterday. If we reclaim 176, let's watch this for longs today, because I think if we take that out, then it's just going to go to 180 anyway, right? And we can catch that upside before it gets to 180. And then once it breaks 180, everyone's going to be chasing it, and that's when premiums will spike, right? So let's try to catch an early entry on this if we can. I know Rad was trading this yesterday, but I also like this if we get over 176 today, okay? Nvidia, this has been super weak. That 222 level I talked about failed 2 days in a row. This is big demand, 217. Okay, you could technically short below 217. However, we do have really big demand down here at 214. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. If you try to short below 217, there's not a lot of downside. All right, it's going to be tricky. Okay, so 214 is actually something that I would watch for a bounce. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, see, here's the thing. It's been strong since we bounced in July 29th. This has been an uptrend, right? So do you really want to be shorting these small little gaps, let's say from 217 to 214? It's just $3. I think I'd rather wait for the bounce, guys. At this point on Nvidia, I'd rather wait for the 214 bounce, and that's something I'll be watching today, all right? If we get that 214, I like this for a bounce. Tesla ripped, all right? We reclaimed 342. Remember, 342 is the gap fill level. So for me, Tesla is bullish as long as we hold 342. If today we sell back below 342, we can short it, all right? But if we just hold 342, it's a long. And then if we reclaim, let's say Friday's highs, yesterday's highs, 352, it's still a long because we're just in the gap fill, right? This has room all the way back to 370, okay? Because we're in the technical gap fill. So try not to short this. If it has strong momentum, try not to short it. But if we get back below 342, then it's a short, right? But if we hold, it's a long, right? That's it. Just use levels as bias. Don't have any intraday bias. Just use levels, okay? So let's see what happens today. I think it's going to be a good session. We've got a lot of potential opportunities here. And I'll see you guys on live. Thanks for joining.